Hey everyone, I know many of us, especially from the boomer generation, might not fully understand or even trust cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. There have been numerous cybercrimes and spectacular crashes and parabolic rises, leading to strong warnings about their risks and volatility. That's exactly why I felt compelled to create this video series now. Now, with the recent dip that really tested our convictions, it's crucial to understand how we arrived at this moment, especially with predictions of an upcoming raging bull season. Now, I'm not here to offer financial advice, but I do want to highlight what could be a substantial opportunity for long-term risk-adjusted returns. This is because over the last decade, Bitcoin has been the top-performing assets against all asset classes. This is a perfect time to get educated and solidify our understanding of this technology. Now, today's video is a little longer than my usual ones. There's been just so much to unpack. So I've split it up into 3 parts and will go through my investigative research and also share some of my personal insights as well. I hope this presentation will help clarify and maybe even convince you of the monumental significance of this movement, something we haven't seen since the introduction of the internet. Although we have previously discussed some of these concepts, today we're adopting a fresh perspective. We'll begin with exploring the history and the rise of cryptography and cryptocurrency, uncovering how these technologies have evolved and why they matter today. From the Roman Empire to Nazi Germany, cryptography has been used as a powerful weapon to secure communications. Today, the same technology is present in everyone's life, from emails to e-commerce. Here is a brief history of its origin.
The need for cryptographically secure communication dates back to ancient times. Emperor Julius Caesar used cryptographic messages to communicate with his generals. The Caesar cipher was one of the earliest cryptographic systems. In this system, each letter in the message is replaced with another one, which is a certain amount of positions down the alphabet. This certain amount was the key that was needed to decipher each message. If Caesar's enemies retrieved the message without having the key, they would think it was written in some incomprehensible foreign language. Fast forward to the 20th century. New breakthroughs in cryptographic techniques made them a key tool in modern warfare. During the Second World War, Nazi Germany deployed the Enigma machine, the most sophisticated encryption device at the time. It consisted of a number of rotors which could encrypt messages by scrambling the 26 letters of the alphabet. The Enigma machine was considered to be unbreakable until British mathematician Alan Turing found a weakness in its implementation. Turing invented the bombe, a decryption machine capable of cracking Enigma. Caesar used cryptography to protect the Roman Empire. Queen Mary used it in an attempt to overthrow the English crown. The key role played by cryptography during World War II once more underscored the importance of this technology in matters of national security. During the Cold War, new advancements in this field were jealously kept secret by the competing superpowers of the USSR and the US. This led the US to include cryptographic technologies in the United States munitions list, thus classifying it as a weapon. Everything changed in the mid-1970s when cryptographers Martin Hellman and Whitfield Diffie invented public key cryptography.
My name is Whitfield Diffie, and people want to talk to me these days because of some work that I did 47 years ago in the spring of 1975. I am one of the people responsible for the cryptography that makes internet commerce, however secure it is these days.
The history of cryptography for thousands of years is defined by one single problem. No matter how you make your code, right? The key that you use to encrypt the message needs to be the same key as the other person has to decrypt it.
The big breakthrough was figuring out how to replace the vulnerable single-key system with a novel two-key approach. Each side holds a pair of mathematically linked keys, essentially a string of characters, one shared publicly, the other kept private. The sender encrypts the message using the recipient's public key. The message can only be unscrambled using the recipient's private key. The sender can also use their private key to encode a unique digital signature into the message, proving that they sent it.
It would have required even someone with a supercomputer, hundreds or thousands of years to try to break the cryptography and get access to the information.
A column in Scientific American described the breakthrough, but the actual algorithms remained unpublished in a paper at MIT.
In the late 80s, a group of cryptographers, engineers, and privacy advocates called cypherpunks started opposing government's attempts to limit cryptography. This confrontation became known as the Crypto Wars. Cypherpunks believed cryptography was an instrument for citizens to achieve individual privacy and protect themselves from government surveillance. One of the cypherpunks, Professor Adam Back, started writing cryptographic code on t-shirts as a way to protest against the cryptography export ban.
The paper was eventually published in 1978, and the ideas spread like wildfire. The government tried to keep these algorithms from the public, but determined to fight against centralized control, programmers put the codes on everything from t-shirts to their own bodies.
We could call them visionaries, we could call them radicals, we could also call them weirdos. Eccentric, technologically sophisticated, very smart, deeply strange people who wanted to change the world through transforming how money worked.
Space alien! They anticipated that there was a coming economy that was going to be built around all of our data, the surveillance of our data, that very soon we were all going to be living more and more of our lives communicating through digital technologies.
Public key cryptography wouldn't have been so groundbreaking if it wasn't for the advent of computers and the internet. These technologies enabled public encrypted communication on a global scale. Cryptography itself became a foundational element of how the internet works. From e-commerce to emails, all sorts of private data exchange on the internet is now possible thanks to public key cryptography.
First time, public key encryption made it possible to securely use credit cards and conduct other private business online. Without it, online commerce might never have become a reality. But for activist coding groups, the fact that banks and credit card companies kept a ledger of all transactions opened the door for Big Brother. The most infamous of these groups was known as the cypherpunks. The cypherpunks mostly communicated through a mailing list.
The hardcore of the cypherpunks looked to digital money as a way to not just guarantee privacy, but as a way that they could potentially destroy existing governments and states completely.
There was basically developers creating tools for freedom. And one of those tools was digital cash.
Not just digital transactions, like the banks were providing, but a new kind of money altogether. Across dozens of new forums, there were a number of attempts to design a system of digital cash. And then, on Halloween 2008, a new name, Satoshi Nakamoto, appeared. Enter Bitcoin, called by its inventor a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Even now, no one knows who Satoshi Nakamoto, the inventor of Bitcoin, is. But the paper was revolutionary.
He explains this invention's workings in a short, flawlessly written document. In this paper, he also presents a solution to a problem that mathematicians and computer scientists claimed could not be solved. They had proven that it could not be solved. Yet, despite the theoretical impossibility of solving this problem, Nakamoto provides a solution that does work in practice. And it is an essential part of how his invention functions. The invention itself works as a new form of money, unlike any that came before it. It is an intangible, yet incorruptible money, ruled by no person, no institution, no company, and no government. It is rules without any rulers. For a couple of years, the mysterious Satoshi maintains the system, evangelizes the idea, and finds volunteers to run and tweak it alongside him. And then, poof, quietly, he simply disappears. It's an exit with no fanfare, not even an announcement. He merely leaves, sending a final email to one developer saying he has moved on to other things and that Bitcoin is in good hands. He is never heard from again.
Who is Satoshi is a question that may never be answered, but in actuality, that sort of mystique is kind of what adds to the lore that made Bitcoin really interesting to begin with, I think.
Whoever Satoshi is, it's amazing that they were able to fit all of what they wanted Bitcoin to be in 8 pages.
Satoshi's papers synthesized decades of work by hundreds of cryptographers and computer scientists into an elegant whole. It showed how to create a digital payment system based on a new currency that eliminated banks.
What Bitcoin proposed to do, what Satoshi proposed to do, was produce a kind of digital cash that didn't require those intermediaries. Instead of transactions going through a web of connected computers owned by banks and other intermediaries, it would go through a web of connected computers owned by the people conducting that transaction.
Bitcoins were simply bits of computer code in a digital ledger. Each person would hold their coins in an anonymous digital wallet, identified only by its public key. The holder of that wallet could only spend those coins by using their private key to sign the transfer and authorize the transaction. But the real breakthrough was something called the blockchain, a technology that ensured the ledger hadn't been tampered with and that people hadn't spent the same coin more than once, all without needing a bank or other central authority to keep track.
And this brings us to the end of part 1 of the series, the evolution of cryptography into blockchain. Now, we've seen how technology emerged as a response to the limitations and controls of money. But what does all this mean for the future of fiat currencies, those government-issued money systems we've relied on for so long? And how exactly does Bitcoin position itself as a viable alternative? These are big questions, and the answer could redefine financial sovereignty on a global scale. Join me in our next episode, part 2, as we go into what many see as the imminent challenges facing our current high-debt fiat money system in the digital era. Today's discussion sparked your curiosity, or if you're just beginning to question the long-accepted financial norms, you won't want to miss what's coming up in part 2. See you next time.